but I'm from a small island, and I remember when I was working for the United Nations, visiting one of these small islands, which shall remain nameless, and I was talking to one of the ministers there about climate change, and he said, you know, Lelei, there's something else which threatens us much more than climate change. And I said, what's that, Minister? And he said, it's the pure bloody weight of UN reports on climate change, which is forcing my island underwater. I'd like to say, however, that Dr. Scott's report is far from this. I think that he's given us a lot of hope, and he's given us the metrics on which to hang our hope as we move forward to look at sensible ways of dealing with climate change. However, from the South, I would like to say that maybe I missed it, but I didn't see an awful lot of attention to the concerns of the developing countries, and instead there was a lot of talk about the dangers of long-haul flights. I think that we in the NGO community, you know, we see tourism as the largest voluntary transfer of resources in recorded history, from the rich to the not-so-rich. It's not a leisure time activity for us, it's a development tool. And so I think that we in the NGO community are going to look for ways of combining to seek innovative solutions to this issue, the problem of getting the tourism dollars to the developing states. I mean, don't forget, British tourists and American tourists, they take and leave in the developing world an awful lot more money than their governments provide in aid. This is how we see it. So we have to keep this thing going, otherwise it's going to be difficult, and it's going to keep people in poverty unless we can find sensible ways of dealing with it. So I think that from the NGO perspective, we have to look at ways of moving the mitigation away from Eurocentric and Northocentric concerns to look at what it means for the developing countries. Those countries which can gain the most from the establishment and the sustenance of sustainable tourism. Small island states, they have contributed the least to climate change emissions, yet they suffer the most. And now, if we're faced with this don't fly movement and other mitigation effects which do not recognize the need for these small island states to survive, then they're suffering all over again. Just when they see this huge voluntary transfer of resources from the rich to the not-so-rich, including themselves, now they're being told, you're not going to get any of it if we don't do something about it. It's a sort of a neo-colonialism, if you look at it in many ways. And we have to look at it. We have to look at the South when we're dealing with the carbon problems of the North. Now, we're looking at carbon systems whereby we can take the carbon credits and plant them in projects throughout the developing world. And if you look at it, we have forests in Indonesia and Brazil, all in the South. I think more attention needs to be paid to that. So very briefly, that's how we see it. The fact is that we in the NGO sector have to continue to get the message across that tourism is the most powerful anti-poverty tool we have ever been given. And we have to treat it as that. You look at ways of making it better. Instead of kvetching about the amount of the inefficiencies of the airlines, we're pushing for the concept of aerial highways, in the sense that you recognize that the airlines are an integral part of the infrastructure. Just like a causeway, just like a terrestrial highway. Has anyone ever complained about a bridge that goes to an island or a causeway, or when it's going to make money or not? Of course not. It's a way of thinking. We have to look at innovative ways of incorporating and recognizing the value of everything that we have, hence the aerial highways proposal. And I think that from the NGO community, we have to keep harping it. We have to work with the science, and we have to work with the communities to ensure that the largest voluntary transfer of resources from the rich to the poor in history is not cut off before its time. Thank you.